Do you think we can do a video on what permaculture zones are? My zone 1's really messy. What else is new? So, we do know, I think, most of us know what hardiness zones are and what my mess looks like. Anyone who's been here much knows that. But I guess not everybody knows that there are also things called permaculture zones, which once someone pointed me out that there was that terminology overlap, I realized that's pretty confusing. So in permaculture, there's zone 1 through 5, and the amount of work you put into it and how frequently you're there are what determine how small of a number it is. So the ACE is zone 1. It's where you are the most. And you can design it to be the easiest interaction and the things you need to tend to the most often. And I would say that my porch and its grand disaster, as well as the immediate surrounding area, are my zone 1. Now, those quail don't need as much care. I don't have to see them every day. These quail, and in the wintertime this will be all quail, I like to be able to see them from the kitchen, keep an eye on them. I did move the heater back out into the common area because it draws them out. They were all just huddling in the dark, and I don't want to train them to do that. Good job, Rooster! Drinking water with the thing that's red. Good work. I actually haven't caught them doing that yet. They have to push the little yellow thing in the middle to get water out of it. Good work. It really reduces the waste, but at the same time, that's not going to be winter friendly. So zone 1 for me is my messy porch and this immediate surrounding area. So things like my seed starting plot that needs a lot of attention, I put it in zone 1. Now, I have to admit I somewhat regret that because it turns out my hose, my irrigation, also has a zone 1 through 5. How many different steps I have to take to get the water to it makes it a different and more complex interaction. So I have 2 different systems of zoning. One of them is how often I'm there naturally, and then the other is how often how much work it takes to get the watering, the irrigation to it. And that's about to change if I manage to qualify for these rain barrels that I applied for. The way that the water works could change significantly at that point. So, what we have is this is zone 3. So let's start from 1. Immediately around the porch is zone 1. Zone 2 is everything that I can easily see from my porch. And I would even say zone 1 is everything I can easily see out my kitchen window. So this area here all counts as zone 1, and I also use it as reference points. So if something's coming ripe, I know that there's more this way. So I got to start keeping an eye down this way. If I have certain things coming ripe, then I co-plant the same plant somewhere else so that I know when I see it here, it's time to go check on it somewhere else. So with the raspberries, those have been within range of zone 1. And when it's not COVID time, everything I have to walk past in order to come home from work is often zone 1. Zone 2 is not immediately visible out the kitchen window. Although I have this window here. I can sort of keep an eye on this, but I also sort of consider this front yard zone 2. And I consider the half of this zone 2, and it's a little bit of a pain to get in this one specifically. This gate isn't great. So this is a little bit zone 2, And this is zone 2 because I can walk to the edge of the garden and see that I have beans ripe or whatever, or that the quail are still nestled into their little dirty holes. Huh. And then, so we've got zone 2. Zone 3 is all of this area through here, which I don't really see out any windows. And if I'm walking up from work, I will see it. But that's about all if I look up into the yard or take the long way. And this also counts as zone 4. We have a little bit of zone 5 over there because getting too close to that particular neighbor's yard is not my favorite thing. So we've got zone 4, then zone 5, and I'll show you my proper zone 5. We have a tiny little corner of I'm way too close to the neighbor right now that is my zone 5 back there. But the true zone 5 is the cliff and everything kind of past the view of the hedge here. As you can see, it gets a lot more wild. And these are the areas that I go ahead and let them get a lot more wild. So this is all zone 5. I would know to come look for the hazelnuts based on the hazelnuts that are visible from the porch. And then even more zone 5 down here, where I pretty much don't much tend this at all. I occasionally realize that I've got starting to get ripe wolfberries, which are the native relative of goji berry, and I do want to transplant some things down here, and I've been tending it, but I only have to tend this like once a week tops. And if I ignore it for an extended period, it's still perfectly fine. And that's true of this entire section here. I didn't water this at all during a lot of the drought, and everything's doing just, you know, well enough. Whoa, you're big. You big. Almost put my hand on you. I'm glad I didn't. Yeah. So this is my fully zone 5 down here, where I can come check on it when I feel like it, and I can let it go when I feel like it. And it's just kind of hanging out down here. And come down and see how much damage there is from time to time. Make sure my path is still cleared and that sort of thing. So, and I would say the part that I can see up through the front here, whoa, we got another hole. I guess I gotta do another smoke bomb. The part that I can see through here, I would say is zone 4, because I do have to make like this whole big detour to get up here, but I can at least keep an eye on what's needed through here. So that is how I have plotted out my zones. And we're not looking at that in a map fashion. We're just looking at it in a amount of exposure to the areas and how easy they are to keep up with and keep an eye on.